Hi Cricket Tree, I'm Ava and I'm a dancer with the Sacramento Ballet, and I'll be answering the questions that you sent me about being a professional dancer. I grew up in Flint, Michigan. I danced at the Flint School of Performing Arts. I started there when I was 4 years old, stayed there all the way through high school until I graduated. So I was there until I was 17. And then I wasn't ready to go to a company yet. I don't think I was strong enough, and I don't really think that I could have lived on my own. I don't think I was mature enough to kind of go off on my own, so I decided to do the college path. I auditioned for a few different colleges. My top choice was Indiana University, which I got into, thankfully, and I went there. I finished my degree in 3 years by taking lots of classes and taking summer classes. Then I auditioned for companies while I was in college because I knew that's what I wanted to do. I didn't get a job anywhere that year, so I ended up going to Pittsburgh Ballet Theater, and I was in their graduate program, which is kind of like a trainee program. So we took our own classes and did our own shows because we were part of the school, but then we also performed with a company a lot. So it was a really good experience for me to kind of see what it's actually like to be in a company, what it's like to rehearse with them, learn new pieces, kind of get like that whole company experience. So that was really good, I think, for me to kind of see what it actually took to be in a company. So I was in the grad program for 2 years, and I was auditioning for companies that whole time, still trying to get a job. Still did not get a job. By the end of my second year in the grad program, I was kind of a little bit discouraged. I hadn't gotten a job anywhere. Was kind of thinking about quitting just because it had been so long. I'd been doing so many auditions. I was so disappointed and just kind of over it. But then thankfully, one of my directors of the school, Dennis Marshall at PBT, knew the director of the Sacramento Ballet, and who was Ron Cunningham, was the director then. He was looking for 2 dancers, or 3 dancers, I think. And so Dennis told us to send our videos to him. So we sent audition videos, and then they called us not that long after and offered us contracts with the Sacramento Ballet. So that was at the end of the school year, May. I didn't think I was going to have a job for the next year, so I was really, really, really excited, super grateful, and I'm really glad that, without that, I don't know if I would be dancing today. So that was my journey as a dancer to becoming a professional, and I've been with the Sacramento Ballet now for 10 years. I think I've always been a person who's pretty active, and I like to move. So I think that's probably why dance has been a pretty good fit for me. Yeah, so I think just moving and dancing has always been something that I enjoy, and that's always been a part of my life. I was 4 years old when I started dancing. My mom put me in ballet just because I like to move around. And so I started with creative dance, and then I worked my way up to ballet classes. And I also took a lot of modern growing up, and I took a lot of jazz classes. Dancing in college, I went to Indiana University. So I finished my degree in 3 years instead of 4 by taking summer classes each summer that I was there. And our schedule was kind of like a ballet company. So the ballet program was from 11:30 to 5:45 every day. So we would have a ballet class, and then we would have sometimes a point class or partnering, and then we would have rehearsals for whatever show we were working on. And we did a lot of classical stuff. We also did some contemporary stuff too. And then we would have to take our normal academic classes either before or 11:30 or after 5:45. So I took a lot of really early, 8 a.m. academic classes, and then I took classes at night too. So it was kind of fitting all the normal classes around our ballet schedule, which was right in the middle of the day. So it was a lot of work, but I'm really glad that I took the college path in my dance career. I don't really regret not doing anything. My parents are pretty good about kind of making sure I had a balance between my dance life and my normal person life. So I didn't ever go away to a ballet school when I was in high school or anything like that. My parents didn't want me to do that. And I think maybe when I was younger, I would have been a little upset about that, but now I'm kind of glad that I had a normal kind of life, so that I see that there's a world outside of ballet and that my whole life isn't just focused totally on ballet. I like where I've ended up with my career and where I live now, so I don't think I would change anything, because everything that I did led me to where I am today. So I'm really thankful for that. I've always been interested in dancing, and I think that it's something that I've always wanted to do. Um, I think when I was younger, I knew that I wanted to be a professional dancer. I mean, I wanted to be a few different things. Like I wanted to be an artist, I wanted to be a dancer, I wanted to be a teacher, I wanted to be a lot of different things. But I think dancing has been a constant thing that I wanted to do for my whole life. I think maybe in college it kind of solidified that that was really what I wanted to do. And that's when I think I started really pursuing, auditions and looking at companies because I knew that that's something that I wanted to do. So I rehearse and work 5 days a week. So we work Tuesday through Saturday, and then we have Sundays and Mondays off. So we have 2 days off every week. And we start the day at 9:30, and we take an hour and a half ballet class. So we have an hour and a half class from 9:30 to 11. We have a 15-minute break. So starting at 11:15, we have 3 hours of rehearsal. Then we have an hour lunch break. Then we have another 3 hours of rehearsal, and our day ends at 6:15. That's the latest we go each day. I'm also a teacher with the Sacramento Ballet School, in addition to being a company member. So there are some days where I am teaching after 6:15. So I'm teaching from 6:15 to 7:15 or 7:45. So sometimes I'm at the studio from 9:30 to 7:45. So sometimes I have really long days. Sometimes they're a little shorter. So it's a little different depending on what we're working on also. So Nutcracker will be a little busier schedule, but sometimes if we're doing like a program that has 3 different pieces on it, I might not be in every one, so I might have kind of breaks throughout the rehearsal day. I would say that one of the hardest parts about being a professional, specifically a woman, in a ballet company, is when you have long rehearsal days and you have to wear your point shoes for all 6 hours, and it's not even that your feet hurt when you're dancing, but it's more like when you're learning a new piece and you have to just stand around a lot, or you're not really dancing but you're learning stuff. And so I think that is what makes your feet hurt the most, is when you're just standing stuck in your point shoes for hours on end. Yes, I think sometimes some days are harder than others, to like dancing, but I think that if you know that, um, underneath it all, that you really love it, then kind of it's good to just work through those hard days and kind of still stick with it. It's kind of like when you love like your mother or your sister or something. Sometimes you have good days with them, and sometimes you have bad days with them, but you still love them underneath it all. And I think that's kind of how ballet is too. It's something that's not always easy or fun, but it's something that you know that you love, and it's important to if it's important to stick with it, for you, then I think it's worth it. I am not a millionaire from ballet, but I do make enough money, to live on and to have my own apartment and to have a car and to have lots of other, nice things. So it is definitely possible to make a living as a professional dancer. Yes, there are lots of male dancers. We are a company of 22 dancers, so we're not a huge company, but we have 9 men and 13 women in the company. So close to half and half, a few more women than men, but you'll find that most companies are going to have about the same number of men and women because you need just as many men as you do women in a company. I think that Nutcracker is always a time for really fast, quick changes. I think my fastest quick change was probably when I had to do Marzipan into Waltz of the Flowers. And we only had the Mother Ginger dance in between, so that's like 2 to 3 minutes. It's not very long. And for Marzipan, we were wearing like tutus with a jacket over it that buttoned on, and then we had these like 3-corner hats that we had to pin on our head. So in the quick change, we had to take the hat off. Oh, and we had gloves too. So we had to take the hat off, take the gloves off, take the jacket off, take the tutu off, and then put the flowers tutu on and put your headpiece on. So it was a lot to do in just a couple minutes. And I remember we had a special little changing area backstage so that we didn't have to go all the way back to the dressing room. So we just changed right there, and then we were ready to run on stage for flowers. Yes, I do. We are a ballet company, but we do a lot of contemporary stuff, more modern stuff. I've done a lot of pieces by George Balanchine. So I've had a really good mix of a lot of different stuff that I've done in my career. And that's really fun for me too. I don't really like doing the same thing over and over again. So it's fun to go from super classical, like doing Giselle or Swan Lake, to going to doing a super modern piece in socks or bare feet. So I think it's fun to kind of do different stuff within that whole range of things that you can do. I'm not the kind of person that necessarily has expectations of what kind of roles I should be doing. So I've never been the kind of person that's like, oh, I need to be Juliet or I need to be, Cinderella or anything like that. So I think it's kind of helpful in a way because I kind of just enjoy the things that I've been given, the roles that I've been given, and the parts that I get to do. I think one of my favorite classical roles that I've ever done, though, is Myrta in Giselle. So that was extremely hard. There's a super long, it's probably like a 6 to 7 minute solo that you have to do that has bores, it has like an adagio, it has ponches, it has grand allegro, it has pretty much every step in it that you could do, and by the end of it, you feel like you're gonna die. Um, but she was a really fun character to play, and I think that was what was really fun for me was kind of figuring out how I wanted to play that character and what qualities I wanted to bring to Myrta to make her my version of that. 2 years ago, we did Hamlet, a ballet version of Hamlet by Stephen Mills, and I got to play Gertrude, who's Hamlet's mother, and that's also been another really favorite role of mine that I've done. I really enjoy roles that are dramatic, and so I think that was really fun for me. Again, kind of the same as Myrta, to kind of figure out her character and how I could portray her and just kind of explore not just the dancing part of it, but the character side of that role as well. I love anything by George Balanchine. I've done, oh my gosh, so many, probably over 10 ballets by him. And so I think that he is one of my favorite choreographers and one of the choreographers whose style I feel like I fit really well and I really enjoy doing. And I think probably my most favorite piece of all the ones that we've done by him was Rubies. And I got to do there's the main couple, like a pas de deux, and then there's the tall girl soloist who is kind of with the core and she's in the middle. And I did the tall girl part and it was so much fun. It's just super jazzy, super musical, super sassy, which are all things I like. So that was one of my favorites, all-time favorites. I think that one of the hardest parts of being professional is staying motivated on your own. Sometimes when you're in a company, you don't get a lot of feedback or a lot of corrections. You kind of have to do a lot on your own. And so I think that that can be hard for people. I think it's hard sometimes to stay inspired and stay motivated in the studio every day. And I think that it's something you have to make an effort in for yourself. If you have to do extra exercises outside of class or work on certain things or go over steps on your own, go over a dance that you just learned so that for the next rehearsal you're ready to do it. I think it's really important to learn how to do things in dance for yourself and not have someone telling you what to do the whole time. And I think that's also something that as a student you can really start to work on.